The sound of crisis never arrives all at once. It begins softly, with whispers in the marketplace, with hesitation in voices, with prices that stop making sense. A loaf of bread one day, 10 times the next. Then one morning, you wake up and realize your savings have vanished, not stolen by thieves in the night, but by the quiet machinery of inflation. This is how decline begins, not with chaos, but with quiet consent. For millions in Venezuela, it wasn't a headline. It was daily life. The bolivar, once a symbol of national pride, turned into paper no one wanted. Entire paychecks couldn't buy a meal. Engineers, teachers, doctors, all reduced to bargaining for food, watching decades of labor dissolve. And yet, out of that economic wasteland, something remarkable took root. Through unstable Wi-Fi connections and power cuts, people discovered a new tool, Bitcoin. At first, it was myth. Then, it became memory, a way to preserve value when nothing else held meaning. A baker in Caracas started accepting Bitcoin when suppliers stopped taking cash. A nurse received her wages in Bitcoin after the bank blocked transfers. A father learned to mine just enough to buy food for his children. Slowly, a parallel economy formed, invisible to those in power, but alive among those who refused to surrender. Bitcoin didn't solve corruption. It didn't rebuild the state, but it offered something no government could print: choice. And in times of collapse, choice is dignity. Because when money fails, you don't just lose wealth. You lose agency. You lose the ability to dream, to plan, to hope. You become a spectator in your own life. But with Bitcoin, people began reclaiming fragments of control. Even amid volatility, it was real. It was theirs. This isn't just Venezuela's story. It's a rhythm that repeats across history. In Nigeria, youth protesters used Bitcoin when banks froze their accounts during the Dark Ensars movement, channeling global donations faster than any government could block them. In Lebanon, citizens trapped by withdrawal limits found a lifeline through Bitcoin as banks imploded. In Ukraine, when war erupted, Bitcoin became a humanitarian tool, moving aid faster than bureaucracy ever could. In Argentina, generations scarred by currency collapse now save in Bitcoin, preserving a future no decree can erase. And yet, this pattern, collapse, control, resistance, is as old as civilization itself. In Rome, emperors diluted silver coins until faith in the currency vanished. In 1920s Germany, savings turned to dust as people burned cash for heat. In the early days of the internet, journalists built independent blogs to escape censorship, the same spirit that drives financial independence today. Whenever power centralizes, innovation decentralizes. That's the quiet genius of Bitcoin. No borders, no gatekeepers, no permission. It doesn't care who you are, where you're from, or what flag you live under. It recognizes only proof that you own your keys, that you verified your truth. It's neutrality encoded, the digital evolution of the printing press, the radio signal, the encrypted message. Every leap in freedom has followed the same pattern. New tools breaking old chains. In the old world, money was tied to kings and governments, used as a weapon of policy and oppression. In the new world, money is code, open, transparent, incorruptible. No dictator can freeze it. No bureaucracy can delay it. Bitcoin doesn't ask for permission to exist. It simply does. And that terrifies those who thrive on control. Because Bitcoin removes the gate. It returns sovereignty to the individual. The right to hold, to transact, to save without surveillance or censorship. But sovereignty isn't comfort. It demands awareness, courage, and discipline. To hold Bitcoin is to say, I will be my own bank. That declaration isn't rebellion, it's responsibility. Bitcoin's story is, at its heart, a story of maturity. It asks us to see money not as government property, but as a social contract we can rewrite. Each time that contract is broken by inflation, censorship, or theft through policy, Bitcoin becomes the protest that cannot be silenced. Think about history's great turning points. When Gutenberg printed the Bible, the church lost control of knowledge. When the telegraph was invented, empires lost control of communication. When the internet emerged, media monopolies lost control of truth. Now, with Bitcoin, states are losing control of money. Each revolution follows the same arc, from monopoly to freedom, from control to chaos to clarity. In Turkey, citizens turned to Bitcoin not out of defiance, but survival. In Zimbabwe, where trillion-dollar notes became souvenirs, the idea of uninflatable money feels divine. In Afghanistan, women excluded from banks now use Bitcoin to earn online and escape financial imprisonment. In Cuba, Coders and freelancers sustain their livelihoods through Bitcoin, bypassing sanctions and connecting to the global economy. These aren't stories of code, they're stories of courage, stories of people reclaiming dignity through technology. Bitcoin doesn't need armies or slogans. It spreads through necessity. It thrives where trust has died, because it's not built on promises. It's built on math, on transparency, on proof. And truth, once revealed, never fades. In every crisis, Bitcoin acts as a mirror, reflecting not only the failure of money, but the fragility of human systems built on deception. It forces a question we've avoided for centuries. What is value? What is freedom? What is trust? And in seeking those answers, people rediscover something ancient, that freedom isn't granted. It's taken, it's protected, rebuilt, and reborn, one block at a time. When a mother in Caracas checks her Bitcoin wallet, she's not checking an investment. She's checking survival. When a volunteer in Kyiv buys supplies through Bitcoin, it's not speculation. It's speed and necessity. When a Nigerian student earns online through Bitcoin, it's not rebellion, it's evolution. Each of these acts, small, quiet, invisible to the powerful, forms a global mosaic of resilience. This revolution doesn't march in streets or shout through microphones. It hums through code. It pulses through networks. It lives in whispers, in wallets, in people who have chosen self-trust over blind faith. History repeats, but progress rhymes. When institutions fail, innovation rises. When currencies crumble, communities adapt. When control tightens, technology loosens it. Bitcoin's story is not about greed, it's about worth. It reminds us that dignity cannot be printed, sovereignty cannot be legislated, and freedom, real freedom, can live in code. Because somewhere right now, another economy trembles, another government prints, another citizen watches savings dissolve. But somewhere else, someone new is downloading a Bitcoin wallet, a father teaching his child about digital ownership, a refugee carrying their wealth in a seed phrase instead of paper, a community sending money across oceans in seconds. The storm will come again. History guarantees it. But this time, humanity has a defense. Not a weapon, but a network. Not a promise, but a proof. We have Bitcoin, we have truth, we have choice. So ask yourself, when the next storm hits, what will you trust? Because the crisis never asks for permission, and neither does freedom. Bitcoin doesn't forget. It remembers the failures, the lessons, the people who refuse to surrender. It's not just technology, it's memory, proof that even in chaos, humanity still believes in freedom.